Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 1 Million Cups podcast by the community for the community. I'm Jessica, your host today, and I'm joined by Kerry Burns, who's going to talk to us about his really awesome manufacturing. So please, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
I really
thanks for
appreciate
having me.
it.
It's great. Love to be here.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how long you've been with Mason Road Manufacturing.
Right. So Mason Road Manufacturing is kind of the business I've always wanted to start. I haven't been in business for very long, about a year, but it's something that I've done really all my life. I'm
Awesome.
kind of a mad scientist, engineer kind of person. So I really enjoy helping people and myself, take a concept or a prototype to the manufacturing stage.
That's so awesome. When you say you're a mad scientist, it just evokes so many images. How did you become such a mad scientist? What was the path that kind of led you down this?
I don't know. It's just kind of something I've always done. I really, from a very young age, playing with Legos as a kid, and then working on cars and machinery, as a teenager, and then prior to a couple careers ago, I owned a cattle feeding operation, so active in commercial farming. And there you're kind of by necessity have to be pretty inventive and sometimes kind of create things out of nothing just to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, I think farmers are one of the most creative people. They just find any solution to meet the problem, which is really cool.
Yep.
So you said you've not been in this particular business. What drove you to open it up? What was the jumping off point?
Right. So in 2016, I pivoted from commercial agriculture to engineering.
Yeah.
And worked in a commercial setting in manufacturing and product development for about another 10 years. And then in August, the company I was working for, they went through some challenges and decided they didn't need me anymore. But it was a great pivot point, opportunity for me to start this business that I've always wanted to.
That's awesome. So many times we, experience things and we think it's a negative, but it really is just pivoting us to, the next great thing, which is awesome. So but you started it 2 years ago, you said?
About a year ago.
About a year ago.
Yep.
Okay, great. How have you seen growth in the last couple of months? What's been your experience?
Yeah. So probably the biggest thing is, when you open a business, you kind of want to take on the world.
Yes.
And I had a mentor of mine that always just used to drill into my head, keep it simple, do one thing and try to do it really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. In the beginning, I kind of thought, well, maybe I could manufacture things. I could do the designs. And really what I've just honed in on is true product development, mechanical product development.
Sure. What's some of the favorite things that you've worked on recently, if you can share?
Yeah, no, every new product, every product I start is always my favorite. Because it's kind of that beginner mentality. I'm really kind of industry agnostic in that it could be agriculture, it could be household items, it could be, even potentially medical devices.
Right.
So every time I start a new project, it's something that I probably don't have any experience in. So then I got to get up to speed of where the proprietor's at and, catch up to what they're doing and then move the ball forward, so to speak.
Awesome. How do you find your customers? What's your strategy to get more work?
Really outreach, social media is great, but it's such a shotgun approach. And I really enjoy, a great plug for 1 Million Cups. I've spoken at a few events around the state. And really that's truly where I've gotten most of my customers is just direct outreach, giving talks, talking to people.
Networking.
Old school networking.
I say it all the time. Networking is everything.
Yes.
Without that network, you just, you're not going to grow.
Absolutely.
So I love that. I love that so much. And thank you for giving a plug for 1 Million Cups.
Yeah, it's
I
a great
appreciate
organization.
that. We definitely are here to help everyone grow and help their businesses grow. So what do you want to expand to? Do you want to bring on staff? What do you see for the next, let's say, 18 months for your company?
Yeah, just continue the design engineering side of things, but I'm also exploring, a new product that's going to be really way different. So it's kind of like a pet project, while I got my core, continue doing mechanical designs, prototypes for people. There's an app and some hardware that'll come with that I'm kind of exploring. So, but that's totally new. I'm not a coder. But
here at 1 Million Cups, we have some tech resources.
We have a few resources here. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super excited to hear about that. Maybe you can come pitch it at 1 Million Cups when you get that up and going here in the next few months. Very cool. So have you always lived in Nebraska?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
My wife and I lived in Minnesota for a while. That's kind of where we gravitate toward, but business and family is all here in Nebraska. So
gotcha.
Eastern half of Nebraska, we've lived in various places.
Yeah. Midwest through and through then. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Why do you like Nebraska so much for business?
Yes. So, Nebraska is always called flyover country.
Yes.
And that's somewhat true. In my corporate career, I flew a lot, and so got to actually experience a lot of different places around the country. And, it sounds kind of cheesy, but there is no place like Nebraska. And the reason being is, the people are pretty genuine, hardworking. There's not a lot of us, so you got a little room to move and get out in the country. Being in agriculture, I like people, but I like being out alone as well.
Gotta love that open sky that we've got here.
But then from a startup standpoint, I mean, we got accelerators here. From a manufacturing standpoint, there's really not much that can't be built here in eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, southern Minnesota. I mean, there's so much industry and manufacturing that it's really a gold mine in as far as business development is concerned.
Yeah. And have you taken advantage of any of the state's business development plans, like the Imagine Nebraska plan?
Not yet. I've gone through the generator, made it to the second round, and then got out, let go of it. But great experience, and just the fact that you can come up with an idea, pitch it, and then there's people willing to listen to you and potentially fund that idea. Currently, I just am bootstrapping this organization. I love it. My goal is to not have any debt, but as things scale, that may need to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Funding is always a top concern for all startups, but I think it is, a rare place Nebraska is with all the different kinds of funding that we have, the prototype grants and everything like that. So looking back a year ago, is there a piece of advice you'd give yourself when you were just getting started?
Just do it. I mean, it again, sounds kind of cheesy, but just do it, and even if it's kind of like when I design a product for somebody, it's kind of baby steps, it's iterations, it's, minimum viable products. So if somebody does have an idea, try it. You don't have to go quit your job and jump into it. But experiment and basically prototype whatever that is, whether it's a mechanical device, a business idea, but there's enough resources available in Nebraska that you can prototype on a small scale while you're still got the security of your 9-to-5.
Yes, absolutely. Cash flow is super important.
Cash flow is very important.
I do hear that so many times, though. I feel like a lot of times founders think they have to have it all figured out before they launch into whatever. So that's so smart. You can always iterate and change and pivot, and that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means you've learned some things.
It's the life cycle of a business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What part of owning your own business has been great? And then maybe what has been not so great?
The not so great is cash flow. When you're bootstrapping a business, everything is predicated on how much money is left in the bank at the end of the month. And some months that's great, some months that's not so great. But the best part is really something that I've thought of and took the jump, took the leap, and I'm still alive after a year. We're still moving,
which is a big deal. Like you make it to a year, then you're really doing well.
So I really didn't think I'd be here a year ago, but life changes, and sometimes you just got to roll with it.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. Is there any last piece of advice you have for our viewers?
Attend events like this, seriously, whether it's, 1 Million Cups or there's other entrepreneurial events around the state. pitch competitions, kind of, local versions of Shark Tanks, attend, pitch your idea, just get out there and just baby steps, keep moving and make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining and all of your sage wisdom that you shared with us. And can't wait to see where you guys go next year. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of 1 Million Cups, and we'll catch you next time.